Jansen Harris here with the Just Good Network. Joining me is Jeff Benedict with Blogging Dirty and Rubbing the Rock on Fansided and host of Hitting T-Gap. What's up, man?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. I have to give you some credit, Jeff, because you were one of the first ones. I remember this. When I was looking at Blogging Dirty, I remember you posting this. You were talking about Trevor Lawrence potentially with the Falcons, what the Falcons could do to get Trevor Lawrence. And a lot of people, there was some backlash saying, are you guys crazy, this, that, and the third. So I respect that, man, because now people are starting to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy that we even have to, entertain that, man. It's... you have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Matt Ryan, and he's not playing as bad as people think he is. Or maybe the record of the Falcons would indicate it 2-6. And I'm a huge Matt Ryan apologist. Anybody that has followed me along over the last 6 or 7 years knows that I'm a huge Matt Ryan fan. But we're kind of at that point now where Matt's at the end of, near the end of his career, sometime in the next, 3, 4, 5 seasons. If it goes 5 seasons, so who's the next guy you turn to? And of course, as a Clemson alumni and sort of covers Clemson football, Trevor Lawrence makes sense. He's a local guy, grew up a Falcons fan, and he is a generational talent. And I've said this, he's the third best one of the top 3. I can't say third, but he's one of the top 3 quarterbacks coming out of college in my generation. So, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I just so the people get this in clarity, because some people, they're like, okay, big Raheem Morris fans, they're thinking, okay, maybe he could be permanent. And I know you have a breakdown for this on why you think maybe he's not the right guy for the job.
So I'll say a couple of things. One, Raheem Morris, I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago at Blogging Dirty where I talked about Raheem Morris should not have to go 11-0 to be an actual candidate for the Falcons head job. Arthur Blank had made that statement. Well, if he goes 11-0, of course he'll be an actual candidate. And to me, Raheem Morris should not have to go 11-0 to be a candidate. And no head coach is ever perfect, right? They all are going to make mistakes. They're all going to do things that we disagree with. But last night, watching the game, and yes, look, that's the best this defense has looked in quite a while. You got to give Jeff Benedict a lot of credit for that. But this team is still doing a lot of stupid things, and let's go back to early last night. They call a timeout to come out and kick a field goal, right? It was 4th and 5 or 4th and 3, whatever it was. There was a first trip into the red zone. They call a timeout to come out and kick a field goal. What was the point in that? You had some really stupid plays on defense. Charles Harris gets kicked out of the game for just an absolute stupid hit on Teddy Bridgewater.
Jeff, who do you think the Falcons should bring in as their general manager? We know they're going to take their time with this process. Who do you think is the best candidate or candidates that you may have on your list? I've
looked at head coaches. There's some really good talent. When you look around the NFL, I think the one guy, the first guy on my list, is going to be a guy like Louis Riddick, and not because he's a talking head on ESPN now, but when you go back and look, he's got a lot of football experience. He's got a lot of football credit on his resume. And this is a guy who's spent the last few years, 5 or 6 years out of the game, as far as intimately, being within an organization. But he has a ton of history when it comes to scouting, so he understands that side of it. He's been an assistant general manager, so he understands the other side of it. But he's been able to take a step back and get a holistic look at the NFL and how things are what's being successful today and what hasn't been successful. And I think that a lot of guys get that when they are able to step into the media, because it forces them to take a more, like I said, holistic look at things versus the small bubble or the tunnel vision that you have to have when you're trying to run a franchise. So to me, he should be the top of it. You've got the assistant general manager up there in New England, and unfortunately his name escapes me right now. And I'm sure Falcons fans are probably a little gun-shy with bringing in, another assistant general manager from the Patriots because, well, that's what Thomas Dimitroff was before he came here to Atlanta. But I think if you go back and look, and I think it's worth looking at guys that come from successful championship organizations. Like, there's a reason that franchises are championship caliber. I think, you'd be dumb not to look within the success of the Chiefs. Let's remember back in 2017 when it was the Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky draft, right? Like, nobody thought it was going to be Patrick Mahomes. Right? Like, nobody thought that he would go ahead of Deshaun Watson. And yet, here was the Kansas City Chiefs and their organization, and they did their homework. Right? Like, they looked outside the box. They looked at things that nobody else was taking a look at, and they not only did they draft Patrick Mahomes, but they moved up in the draft to do that. Right? Like, how many other teams would have thought to do that? And I'll never forget, I was working in radio at the time. I was working for the Atlanta Falcons flagship station in Atlanta, and I remember my program director at the time sent me a text message going, "You really just completely disrespected your boy talking about Deshaun Watson when they traded up and took somebody else ahead of him." And of course, that turned out to be Patrick Mahomes. But they had the foresight to do it. So to me, I don't care who the next general manager is, but they need to come from a championship organization so they understand what winning is and how winning is done on the NFL level.
Absolutely. Which Falcon have you been most impressed by this season? Guys having breakout seasons and playing consistently.
I think the first one on my list is going to be Grady Jarrett. Like, I can't say enough about Grady and his work ethic. And, when he was coming out of Clemson back in 2015, that was Sweeney told the Atlanta Falcons, this guy is going to change your organization. Guy that no Falcons fan knew before they drafted him, with their last pick in the 2018 draft out of Yale. So not only is he a hell of a football player, but he's also probably one of the most brilliant guys in the NFL. So when you look at him, and you look at what he's been able to accomplish, this year, and really his first year with playing starters minutes. He's forced 3 or 4 fumbles. He's had interception. He's on track to. I think he's on track to record more than 100 tackles this year. Like, he's flying all over the football. He understands all the angles and all the routes, and he understands a lot of the nuances of the game that a lot of